Thanks so much, Girish, for joining. Uh, Tell us what time is it and where are you? Which part of the world are you in?
Oh, it's 8:32 a.m. in San Mateo, California.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and thanks. People have been very excited when we announced, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people joining for this conversation. And thank you for taking out time to do this. I wanted to understand from you, Girish, you are in that, epicenter zone of the startup technology world over there. And here in India, everywhere, across the world, when it comes to startups, there are a lot of layoffs happening, a lot of laws have taking place. It is a difficult time, and but one good, a little bit of silver lining we see is that the SaaS world seems to, at least from the surface of it, seems to be less impacted. I want to understand from your vantage point, and I have written that you are the torchbearer of the SaaS enterprise ecosystem of India. You tell us, what is it that you are seeing and what is the impact of COVID on the ecosystem?
I think one of the biggest learnings for me right now, even as we are running Freshworks, is how the world is in different stages of COVID, right? So Europe is actually coming back. US is still a mixed bag. India is actually going into seeing increased number of cases. So it's from an India context, I think we are still in a very scary situation because the numbers are going up. But when it comes to, so I think we all, first of all, we all should be grateful for where we are compared to what is happening with the world. So with that said, yes, SaaS is definitely in a much better place. But the way I would like to think about this is SaaS is just a big bucket, right? So you could be a horizontal SaaS player like Freshworks. You could be a vertical SaaS player like, say, Hotel Logics, or somebody focused on travel industry or hospitality. Or you could be, there are different kinds of SaaS companies, right? So the easiest way to ask this question is, hey, is your company a vaccine or a vitamin?
Yeah.
Or are you the patient, right? For example, Zoom is a vaccine, right? Like everybody is using it. So I think companies like Zoom, we are all seeing they're really literally zooming. But we are not a Zoom at Freshworks. So we are probably a vitamin where we are still seeing that businesses need to use software where employees are working from home, and customers need to be engaged virtually and so on. But thank God we are not a Marriott also, right? So I think what we are seeing is, and this is pretty much true for most of SaaS. So I think a few of them have become the patient, but very few of them are the vaccine, and their business is booming. But most of the horizontal SaaS players are vitamins, like somewhere in between being the patient and being the vaccine. So I think what I see from broad takeaway trends, I think moving forward because of life after COVID. So I think this work from home may actually transform to work from anywhere, right? Because now what we are seeing is, okay, there's a lockdown. You're at home, you're seeing the benefits of work from home. You understand, companies are realizing that, hey, work can happen from home also. At the same time, people want to get out also. There is this inherent, like people like me, like I'm sure you're like that. So we draw our energy from people, right? So we want to go and meet people and so on. So when all of this is over, I think these two will collide, and people will say, okay, I can work from anywhere. There'll be multiple smaller offices, and so that will become a trend. So the big 1,000, 2,000 member offices are not going to be the norm anymore. So that's going to be a trend. I think video will become a very important channel for every industry, whether it's customer support or not just about meetings, but virtually everything can be done through video. So I think broadly, we all know this, like, okay, employees are not coming into the office, customers are not coming into the stores. How do you keep business moving? So that's the trend which we have to explore.
Yeah, yeah. Girish, you rightly said, in most of the conversations that we are having, people are talking about this mass need for remote working, right? Like, which was not a reality before this, but it is. How long, what will happen, we don't know. But then definitely there is this happening, remote working. I want to understand from that lens, what does it mean from, the new normal? What does it mean for SaaS adoption, and how are you seeing it play out now?
Yeah, so let's talk about remote working, right? So I'll start with Freshworks. So okay, we went from working from 13 offices to working from 3,000 offices in a matter of a week,
Hmm.
right? So when everybody went for work from home. So I think, but for a company like Freshworks or most SaaS companies, it was actually the move was easier, right? Because we are cloud native from day one. In fact, I remember in 2011 or so, I used to joke that when Chennai becomes so hot in summer like it is right now, like we can all take our laptops and go and work, go to Ooty or Kodaikanal and get a nice place with internet connection and just work from there, right? So I think it was a joke, but today it's a reality. But even today, with 3,000 people, I think Freshworks, we don't have anything on premise, right? We are a cloud native company, so for us the transition was easy. But it may not be easy for all companies, right? So because there are so many companies where there is a need for people to come in, or manufacturing, or physical, like retail stores and so on. So I think that is what brings us to the opportunity, right? So every company now has to make sure that, hey, employees can get everything that they need. So just addressing the remote working part, right? So for employees to just be able to, like, think about HR. How do you onboard an employee, right? Think about teams, like how like if somebody's joining in my team, how do I quickly bring that person up to speed? Or think about a digital workplace, right? So when you're joining a company, like, okay, you need something from HR, you need something from finance, you may want something from IT. It was very easy to, even if you don't have any systems, you could go and just ask them, right? So those walk-ins are all, the water cooler conversation, everything is vanished. Now we have to recreate that digitally, right? So if I want, and some companies are ahead, many companies are not there, and that will drive massive acceleration or adoption towards SaaS solutions.
You know, last 2 months, at least last 3 months, I can say, I just say we talk about digital India, at least from India context. But finally, after 12 years, I can see that there is something, like there is digital happening. And how, like from school, teachers getting online, like, the world has definitely moved in the last 3 months to digital. I want to understand what kind of opportunities you see that this new digital reality brings for startups, and more so for SaaS startups now.
See, when you think about digital transformation and technology adoption, COVID, in hindsight, let's say 5 years from now, we'll go look back and say, hey, this was a lot of short-term pain, but it was tremendous long-term gain, right? And this is really a silver lining, as you said it. Because if you look at what Satya Nadella said, right? Satya Nadella actually said, hey, we have already seen 2 years of digital adoption in 2 months, right? So because they're already seeing it, like companies are scrambling
Yeah.
to get on board, right? So if you look at think about retail, many retailers were all toying around with omni-channel retail, like physical retailers were saying, hey, should I get Shopify, should I sell everything online also, and like, how do I have a centralized inventory management, how can I engage with digital customers when I'm only used to physical customers, etc. So every retailer today has to shift to omni-channel, right? So and if you think about in UK, I think in the healthcare, people said, somebody quoted that in 10 years of progress was accomplished in 2 months in healthcare, right? So I think if you look at the trends, you ask me like what we are seeing. See, definitely some of the untalked about areas. See, all of us know about Zoom and say Slack and things like that. But think about e-signatures, right? So like contract negotiation, signature, that is like slowly and silently gaining adoption. Everybody is closing deals and doing e-signatures. I talked about omni-channel retail. Every retailer today, it doesn't matter. Even see, Amazon and Flipkart can sell online, but also your Indian grocery store has to now sell online or take phone orders and offer curbside pickup or delivery. So everybody is getting into omni-channel, right? And then more importantly, from our standpoint, we are seeing the acceleration towards customer 360, which is basically what we say is today a business engages with customers across multiple channels, right? So I may like you may be calling us as a customer, or you are emailing us, you are talking about us on social media, or I can WhatsApp you the order status and so on. So how do I bring all of this together so that the company has a 360-degree view of the customer. And that is also getting accelerated as, again, because you can't just reach out to a coworker and find out what's happening with this customer, right? You need to have all of that digitally. So the 360 view of the customer is also something that will see increased adoption.
Yeah, I want to pick on that, the customer 360-degree view of the customer centricity is important for you for Freshworks, and I know that you've done multiple conversations around that also. Tell us, how do you see that changing, evolving, and what is your view on this, so that startups and entrepreneurs can also learn from, because I think you've done a brilliant job in that aspect.
Yeah, see, I think at Freshworks, our whole we call ourselves the customer for life software, right? So our vision is to enable every business to find and keep their customers for life. So when we say customer for life, and the software that we offer, actually, if you look at it, we have marketing automation, sales, support, customer success. So we actually truly believe that, okay, we want to help businesses engage with their customers across the entire life cycle. Now think about these times, right? So every startup or business today, okay, you have to take even more extra care about your customers, right? Because the customers themselves could be going through pain. And how do you actually be like more empathetic towards the customers, right? So are you really being tone deaf, or are you really helping your customers? Like many times, see, cash collection is a problem for businesses today, because when customers are in pain, you cannot assume that if you're a SaaS, even if you're a SaaS company, your recurring revenue is not going to come in, right? Because customers don't have the ability to pay. So whatever technology we have, like for example, even in our whole AI and bot strategy, we actually say, okay, we want to help businesses drive automation, but not at the expense of customer experience. So how do we help the agents or the business automate to get the cost benefit, but at the same time, not for, I'll give you a couple of examples actually, right? So Vedantu, right? Vedantu is an online tutoring platform, right? So due to COVID-19, they saw a big spike, right? Because everybody wants to do online education for their kids. So they experienced a 3x increase in their visitor overnight. And now you cannot hire 3 times more people, right, in customer support, right? Yeah. So even this is a good thing. So their inbound like ticket volumes were almost like say 3,500 per day, and that increased to 12,000 inbound inquiries per day. Imagine where will the people find this? So we helped them with a Freshworks chatbot, and then 80% of the queries were solved through self-help, because most of the customers were asking standard questions. So we were able to do that. And then their customer satisfaction ratings rose 50% because of that automation. They were able to service it. So I think there's also another customer, Super Daily, who's a grocery delivery platform. I don't know if you know them. So their business also saw a dramatic impact, right? So like they have 250 people, but they saw a 200% increase. So the number of inquiries went up from 7,000 per day to 20,000 per day, right? So again, so this is where I'm saying your business can be going up. And I'll give you another example in the US, where StubHub actually was worst impacted, right? Because all the events are canceled. StubHub is the marketplace for people buying and selling tickets. Now they came to us because, see, it's a big company and they're facing this problem now, and they were even furloughing 2/3 of their employees, but they wanted to put an automation system in place so that customers are not impacted. So customers need to get the answers that they deserve. So we have been helping both businesses who are seeing a big spike and businesses who are going through trouble. So we have been helping them with automation, because at the end of the day, if you're going to continue in business, you have to take care of your customers.
Now, Girish, I have to come to this question. I don't know if you remember, but many years ago, yeah, I had gone to a very simple, nice restaurant with you, and where you had fed us. We had come to Chennai, and you were very nice, generous, and humble, and helped us. And that was also your initial years. And the remarkable journey which all of us in India and all of us as entrepreneurs feel proud that you've made. I want to understand from your playbook, from Freshworks playbook, if today companies are looking at going global, and not just, going global, is easy. Everyone can take a flight and go global, but establish the presence that you've done and continuously keep on holding, growing the market. How have you done? Give us some real insights into that so that it can be implementable for many of the startups.
Okay. See, I think even before COVID, this is an opportunity that I believe in for India. In fact, uh, IMA had a series on how to start a startup, and I've done a session there a few years ago, and it's available on YouTube if you search for how to start a startup and Girish. So I think the whole idea is the opportunity for India is to go after the long tail of the SMB market globally, and that can be like serviced from anywhere in the world. It's not just India, so it's any country can do it. But we have the talent pool and the know-how, and we have the lead in doing that. So I think it's a very different playbook. So I will just try to lay down the playbook as simple as possible. So we intentionally pick large markets. Like we took customer support as the first market for Freshdesk, then went to CRM and went to IT service desk and so on. So we do online acquisition because there are enough people searching online for these large markets. So we bring customers online to our website, and then these online visitors, right? So they should be able to get their hands on the product quickly. So we don't say contact sales or fill a form and then somebody will call you. So basically we remove all the barriers between the customer and the product. And they should be able to see the pricing. Like so there is no hidden pricing or add-on pricing and so on. Like it's all simple, available on the website. What you see is what you get. And in fact, in our website, in Freshdesk pricing page, if you can see, there's a view detailed pricing, where if you click on that, you will see, hey, there's nothing here, right? So you should check it out. So and then the whole model works only when you place a lot of emphasis on like making it easy for people to try, and the products are designed to be intuitive and self-sufficient. Like so, basically, aesthetically, it has to be good. So I was talking to somebody yesterday. So we always think about this, right? So our customer, we'll call her the browser girl, right? Because imagine somebody searching on Google and she's coming online and she's signing up for a trial. So browser girl needs to feel that, hey, this product is aesthetically beautiful, and hey, it's intuitive, and I can play around and configure it myself. Because the SMB customer, so browser girl is not going to call a professional services team or a system integrator company to come and do all the hard work. And the browser girl, if she doesn't like it, she's going to close the browser. In 2 minutes, she has to like the product, and in 20 minutes, she has to feel at home in the product. Otherwise, it's almost like consumerization of enterprise software. And we know that the power to close the browser tab and go away puts a lot of pressure that we have to actually make sure the product is super easy, intuitive, and people can feel at home, right? So that is what I tell. When I'll just give you one more example. Like when a product manager is building a new feature and they will come and want to show me a demo, right? And then they'll say, okay, we'll explain this to you. I will say, okay, you will sit next to me and explain to me, but who's going to explain it to browser girl, right? So basically send me the link. I have to figure it out on my own. So I have the curse of the layman, right? I can always look at our own products as a layman. So I would actually try to figure it out. And if I can't figure it out on my own, then that is the feedback to my product team. So I think that's a crucial element of the playbook. Like if you want to win globally and you want to win through product, because your salespeople are not there, the suited salespeople who go and make all these big presentations. So like the product cannot be confusing. The product managers cannot design the product assuming that our experienced engineers are going to implement it, right? So I think that's the secret sauce. Meaning there's a lot more. Obviously, there's no silver bullet, and I think we have also been lucky that a lot of things went right for us in terms of funding, in terms of talent, in terms of timing. So I think we've been able to be there at the right time and then grow from there. But yeah, I can keep talking about this whole day, but we don't have that.
I wanted to ask you, like you said, the browser girl, in this time when, and you had mentioned this, when businesses are suffering, SMBs are suffering, people are suffering. How do you, as a company, as a team, show empathy? Like, how do you manifest empathy in an enterprise business to your customers? How does it manifest?
See, I think that's a great question, Shraddha, because this is exactly what I told the team, right? So we cannot be tone deaf in today's environment, right?
Mm.
So, see, everybody wants to sell, right? Meaning all of us businesses, we have to survive. We have to make sure that we are earning some revenue to make up for the churn that you may have and so on. So there is nothing wrong with that. But how do you be empathetic and authentic, right? So I think the message that I shared with my team is basically stick to the first principle. So, like, see, solve, don't sell, right? So
Mm.
we have to solve a problem for the customer, not don't sell, right? And during a crisis situation, we need to reassure and reconnect before you can actually help them redesign, right? So that is our framework. So first, reassure, so that we are there. Like one of our cultural values is be a true friend for the customer, right? So, and we actually reached out to all our customers and told them, hey, we are there with you. Let us know what pain you're going through, and we are willing to help in whatever way we can, right? So we all the customer success managers touch base with all of our customers, SMB, mid market, large customer, everything. And then when we, for those of them who want to have a conversation with them, we reconnect, right? We understand their challenges, we look at their opportunities, and then like basically we also share how we are coping up with this, right? So being vulnerable, so they may think, okay, Freshworks is a big company, we also have our problems, so we tell them, and we share, and they also share more, right? So that gives us the opportunity to learn more about them. And now we redesign whatever they have. If you have to give them some payment relief, you want to give them some new technology. And as I told you, that's how we were able to win a business from even companies that were going through tough times. So we are helping them where they're saving cost, uh, but they're getting the help from Freshworks to do what they want in their business. So that is, and I've told my marketing leaders, every messaging that is going out of the company has to be reviewed very, very thoughtfully, thoroughly, that we are not coming across as being tone deaf, right? So we have to really show that empathy, and it is very important. And so our model is like reassure, reconnect, redesign.
Okay, and what I picked is solve, don't sell, because you
Yeah.
solve, then you sell. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, Girish, I want to ask you. For us, when we look from outside, right, Freshworks has been a phenomenal journey. You, as an entrepreneur, you're always a rock solid, strong entrepreneur. And this is a current moment of crisis for so many entrepreneurs, for so many startups, for so many businesses. I want to understand from you, uh, you know, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, what has this crisis meant for you? And if you could share with us, be vulnerable and share with us any crisis that you went through and how you dealt with it.
No, I think so. See, this has been a great period of learning, right? So, and so first of all, I'm always vulnerable to share whatever. In fact, I don't prepare for most of the stuff because it's easy. My fundamental belief in life is if you always speak the truth, you don't have to remember anything, right? So I think so this crisis, right? So we clearly, one of the things I realized was how important it was to communicate more with employees, right? So because the biggest problem is not business, it's the mental health of employees, right? So how people are going to cope up with this. When I remember when we started, I was like everybody else. We thought, okay, maybe this is going to be there for 1 or 2 weeks and it'll go away, right? Oh, it won't happen to us, right? We are healthy. All of those thoughts came and went, right? So nobody thought it's going to be such a long phenomenon. And even now we don't know where it is going to be. But the amount of learning that happened every week, right? And I will also tell you one more thing. On March 9th, I came back from Chennai to the US on March 7th. And March 9th, I'm attending an enterprise conference in Half Moon Bay, Ritz-Carlton. There are there are CEOs of all the companies. They're all talking about COVID and recession. I actually like stupidly stood up today. In hindsight, it is stupid. I stood up and said, "Hey, we are all leaders here. Let's not cause more economic damage than the health damage caused by the virus. Like, why are we? We have to like not create panic, because the entire thing talk in the conference was about COVID, right? But I was stupid because all of them were probably more knowledgeable and they were well prepared. But still, people are applauding that I stood up and said that. But in hindsight, it looks like uh, people were right to be worried, right? At that time, on March 9th, I was saying, okay, why are we creating panic, right? And I thought it was unnecessary panic because, but it's turned out to be true that the economic damage is far more than the actual health damage, right? So, um, and what I am learning through this is how prepared others are. Like there's so much to learn, right? So every week we are becoming more knowledgeable about the trends, and so just imagine who would have thought staying home is a cure against a virus, or not even a cure, but that's the only defense strategy, right? So so there is no other strategy. So everybody stay at home. So I think the other things that, see, I'm spending more time with family. I never thought like I'm not missing my jet lag and travel. I've connected with so many of our employees, different teams, like having those conversations and enjoying. The biggest learning is, okay, work will still happen even when nobody is coming into the office. So I think there has been a lot. I'm also walking like 7 to 10 kilometers every day. I've reduced weight and I'm enjoying it and eating home food only. And so I think this period has been like, I always choose to look at the positives. And I think there has been a lot of positives that I'm grateful for in this period.
Yeah, the other question I wanted to ask you, in the company, right, in Freshworks, how do you have a process? Do you have a procedure? Do you have something like where the learnings that you get from the customers, from the market, you integrate it in the business and make it as a process? How do you internalize the learnings from the market?
Yeah, no, that's a very important point, right? So we have always been a connected company. So I call this a connected company, right? How does the organization see? We have to be a continually learning organization, right?
Yeah,
So and I see, fundamentally I'm a believer that learning happens outside of school and college, right? So learning happens every day. That's what I believe in. So at Freshworks, like we have Workplace by Facebook, we have Slack, and it's all connected. And every day, like because we are present in so many different countries. See, when you go to bed and then come back and wake up in the morning, you'll see so much of sharing, like whether it's customer wins, customer pains, industry news, somebody is acquired, somebody, what does this mean for us? All of these discussions are always happening on Workplace, even before COVID, right? So, and we, during COVID, like what we did in March, the management team was meeting daily, like every day morning we would meet. Then we moved it to twice per week. Then now we are meeting once per week. But what we discuss is, like we had to reorient the entire, like our go-to-market team is like 1,000 plus, 1,100 people, right? So we are 3,000 employees. So how do you change a 1,100-person organization to sell into the new opportunity? See, we have 9 products and people are selling everything. But now in this new reality, we are seeing that, okay, fresh chat, fresh caller, fresh desk. This is seeing the maximum traction. And the key message is how to enable customers in Asia like wherever WhatsApp is strong. WhatsApp integration with fresh chat is a super opportunity for us. A fresh desk omni channel is a good opportunity. So you have to retrain this entire 1,100 strong go-to-market team over like within a few days.
yeah,
To actually go and sell this, right? And then you have to empower them with the marketing teams producing content that is right, written in the right empathetic message, but helping customers, right? So that is I'm super proud that we were able to do something like that, and also constantly, and all of that is because we are a connected company. And a lot of times, I think these would be the best investments that you can make in encouraging people to open up and share about everything that's happening in their life. So in fact, I would say for us, Workplace by Facebook actually cannibalized Facebook usage, because Facebook is boring content, right? This is interesting content about what is happening. It's the same UI. So if you can use Facebook, you can use Workplace. So there's no learning curve for the employee, but the content is so much more richer and relevant for us that everybody took on it, right? So like we launched Facebook Workplace in, I think 2016 or 17. The next day we started seeing participation. Like it just grew inside our org naturally. And I think that's a very important lesson. we constantly pick everything that's happening in the company, and management teams, we look at what should be our, for COVID specifically, we came up with a new plan. See, we had to throw out our old plan, right? So we were going into 2020 with a big growth plan of revenue, with a hiring plan for more than 1,000 people. And suddenly in March, you have to throw away everything and then come up with a new plan. And so the analogy that I gave somewhere else is, it's like a Duckworth-Lewis formula and cricket match, right? Suddenly the rules are changed. You have a new target. You have a new. It doesn't seem fair, but you have to play to win.
Girish, if I may ask you, the space that you are in is extremely competitive, but you have not only grown, you have established a brand. And I think Freshworks has done, when you were fresh, that like the branding was clear, the positioning was clear, the way you hired was very clear and different. How have you consistently managed to stay ahead in a space which is extremely competitive, if I may say so?
uh, it is by design. So I told you initially when we are talking about the playbook that we intentionally pick these, we call it red ocean markets, right? See, you can go, there is a blue ocean strategy where you can go where nobody else has gone. See, we have to enter red ocean markets because we were started in Chennai, and because we are going after global, and because we are relying on online acquisition. See, when I don't have a consultative salesperson who can go and convince the customer how or why they need such a solution, right? So if you're really building a blue ocean strategy, you have to educate the customer and the market on why they need this. So in a red ocean strategy, you win through product and execution and design, right? So we had a red ocean strategy as a strategy, conscious choice, and that's why I explained to you our understanding of browser girl is very important there to really win. So because when you're competing, see, there were 600 help desks when I started Fresh Desk, right? So there is a website called helpdesks.com. Even today, you can go and check, and that lists all the help desks that are there in the world with what is SaaS based, what is on-prem, what is client server, and so on, hosted help desk, all those categories. How do you enter a market where there are 600 providers already, and then win, right? But we cannot enter into a place where nobody is there, because then nobody will be searching. So how will I sit in Chennai and sell to Australia and Belgium and Brussels if nobody is searching online? So our strategy right from day one, our playbook is built for red ocean markets. And I just explained to you, like in order to win that, you need to build a new playbook. And this is, so in the Valley, there is another playbook, like a Salesforce, let's call it the Salesforce playbook, right? So you build a SaaS solution and they keep going up market, hire more salespeople. So today we have two go-to-market motions. So today we have the SMB playbook, or the long tail of the global SMB inbound playbook that we closed the business from Chennai. And we have a mid-market playbook, or a large company playbook, where we have salespeople. So that is something which we thought, okay, now we are doing one thing well, which is closing business from India. Now, why don't we actually learn as a company? When everybody else is doing the other playbook, we'll try that also. So today in Freshworks, there are two playbooks, meaning we have two different go-to-market motions. And that is outbound, where we are learning like what others are doing, hiring salespeople, going outbound, reaching out to the larger companies and closing that. So today, as we speak, the business is evenly split between the two go-to-market engines.
Wow. Yeah. I want to understand, so I met Aditya Sanghi of Hotel Logics yesterday, day before, and he was talking about you. So I said, I'm going to be having a conversation with you. And he told me, oh, Girish is brilliant, because I think he had some issue, and he said you got involved, and there was so much of humility, so much of interaction, and you resolved things, right? So he said that to me, he's remained the same Girish over the years. I want to ask you from that perspective, as a CEO, you started small. Today, if I may say so, it's an MNC startup. If I can use the word startup, grown it so big. How do you prioritize your time, your mission, your focus, and your purpose every day as a CEO? What do you do with your day?
See, for me, the fundamental belief is, see, success is in the big things, happiness is in the small things, right? So I actually, it's very easy to make me happy. See, I enjoy being around with good people, right? So I'm doing FC Madras because FC Madras is a grassroots football training program charity that I'm running. The main reason for that is like they are amazing people, the coach and the people who are helping me do that. So I just draw a lot of energy by being around with good people, right? So I think that is enough to make me happy. And I'll tell you one more thing, and maybe I'll just be vulnerable and say. So on one day, I was some big investor had taken me on a private jet to watch the India-Pakistan match in Manchester during the World Cup, and 2 days later, I'm back in home in Chennai. I'm outside my apartment in Velachery. There is a small shop which sells sweets called a boli stall, right? And I was eating a small medu bakoda, as they call it in Tamil. So it's like a small bonda, right? So I derive more happiness from that a small shop eating something that I enjoy than even going in that private jet, right? So I think you don't need money to be happy. So if you don't have money, it can cause unhappiness. I know that, right? But once you have money, you don't need money to make you happy. You need the pleasures in life. Can see a good friends, time spent with friends, like in Aditya's terrace, for example. We all have like what we call as a Daru Pe Charcha. That's a group of founders, and we have our friendly banter over beer. So I think those are great times. So I think for us, for me, basically, happiness is all the small things like a game of tennis or having a beer with a friend. I can be happy, and I don't see. I come from Trichy. I don't know, they changed the name. I don't know what's the new name now, but Tamil Nadu is changing all the names now. My father is a retired bank officer. So whatever happens from now on, it's already a win for me, right? I'm aspirational. I want to go and accomplish bigger things, but it doesn't mean, see, even if I have to, if I am taken out as the CEO of Freshworks tomorrow, I would still be happy that I've been able to come so far, and I will talk about that and do what I can with my friends, and I'll be happy. So being happy is a choice, and I have made that choice several years ago in my life. So and I think that's a life learning.
That's yeah, that's inspiring, Girish. Okay, so now I'm going to take some questions before, there's so many questions coming. So let me take this question. In SaaS model, the average revenue would be 7 to 12 USD per employee. What are your plans to maximize the revenue from the enterprise level moves? Understood, SaaS model requires more support, hand holding with the customer, and it's a volume business.
Okay, so see, fundamentally, the unfortunate thing with COVID is if a company does not have money to survive, they have to make a survival plan. See, the worst case is the founders will toil on the idea and keep the company alive without any salary, right? So that's the worst case. Or they will have to consider going and getting a job. I know some of the good founders in my network, in my companies where I've done angel investment in. So where the founders have taken up a job, right? So in fact, Pick Your Trail is one of a company which was going through a boom, and they were hiring so many people, and then COVID hit. They had to refund all the revenues to the customer, and then they have to lay off people. And Hari is a great friend of mine, and like my advice to him was, hey, don't assume that things are going to improve in July or August or September. Be prepared for the long haul. You have to make the cut, and you have to like survive, right? So if you don't have money, you have to work on a survival plan. Or if it's becoming too hard on the family, then maybe you die another day, go back to a job, and then come back and do something. So I think without knowing the case, it's very hard to give generic advice, but everybody needs to have a survival plan. And I think Ashish of Book My Show is another good friend of mine, and I think you also interviewed him. But when I spoke to him, he was like, hey, I've seen 3 crises before. He also has a strategy. He calls it Noah's Ark strategy, right? So I don't know if you guys talked about it in the show. Like he was saying, okay, like the Noah's Ark, I have to figure out which people to take along the journey and then who to leave behind. I think it's painful, but it's inspiring to see how he's handling all of this. Like we are not Book My Show, right? They are directly in the eye of the storm, right? So and caught in the storm. So I think it's a very specific question that has to be answered with a lot of context. But you started off with per employee pricing. So I think you don't have to increase the per employee pricing. There are so many companies like see, even Google and Microsoft sell at $5 per employee per month for their Google Docs or Office 360 is $5 or $6, right? So the market is so big, like you are not going to, you can build a multi-billion-dollar business even with $5. So $7 to $12 is not bad. It's your ability to reach more customers and users is the problem.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to ask you a personal, I don't know if it's a personal or professional question. Did you have to do some learning and learning when you shifted to San Mateo? I didn't know till this week that you had shifted over there to US.
There was a conversation in WhatsApp amongst a group of founders on where somebody was saying, "Hey, why are we like we don't understand why founders are chasing more and more money and VC funding, right?" It was not aimed at me, but it got me thinking. Like I just asked myself, "Hey, what is it that I'm chasing? Am I chasing money, right?" And I know the answer is not that. I'm not chasing money because like I have I have simple needs and I have enough for me and my family, right? So then when I thought about that question, I realized what I am chasing, right? When we want to talk about taking Freshworks to greater heights, building a global product company, eventually taking it public someday. So what I'm chasing is learning. And I think one of my unmet needs, and all of us in India will relate to it, right? So our education, or at least my education in school and college, wasn't that great. Like I've always been an average student, and I've never been great at classroom learning. I probably like I wanted. I think the you can say that I'm learning with a vengeance, right? So there is so much of opportunity to learn now, and learning by doing. I think I hit that mode after 2001, right? When I was in the right company and learning a lot. So I think that is what I'm chasing. So the move to California, right? So it's a completely out of my comfort zone because I was actually in a nice big house in Chennai. I had multiple fancy cars. I had two drivers. I had a security guard, gardener, cooks. So my life was set, right? But I had to come out of my comfort zone and move to US. But it is all worth it because there are very few people who have actually taken. See, let's say you want to take a company from 200 million to $1 billion of revenue and more, and you want to do it in like 4 or 5 years. There are a handful of people who have done that in SaaS, and all of them are here, right? And if I want to learn, I have to learn from them. I can be sitting in Chennai and doing all the great things, but I won't be able to learn that. And if I don't want to make a mistake now because this opportunity is real and it is not for me. The impact that we can create, and I told this in my all hands to all the employees when I was moving to the US. So the number one question was, why are you moving to the US? I told all of this, but then I also told one more thing. See, today, employees, as of today, they have, I think, something to the tune of 2,000 crores or 3,000 crores worth of Freshworks stock, right? But if we actually are able to go through this journey and accelerate and build a global brand, I could put 20 to 30,000 crores of money in the employees' hands. Now imagine how big that is for the country. Like, what will these people with money do? They will start more startups. They will do charity. Some of them will spend. That's also good for the economy. So I'm looking at it as a massive opportunity for wealth creation for employees, and that money will come back and do greater benefit in India, right? Because anybody, see, once you have money, you want to do something. So and I'm really excited about that. So that is what I am like. I'm learning, and I want to continue learning. It's always like a lot of energy to do that.
Wow, this is very inspiring, Girish. Uh, Cheat sheet, like I don't know if you'll share. What do you, according to you, what has been your biggest strength? If you, as an entrepreneur, if you have to look at your journey, what would you rate as your biggest strength and weakness also, if you can say?
so everything is a weakness, right? I don't have a lot of meaning. I have tons of weaknesses. See, I think start with the strength. I think see, you have to understand I'm not a technology person, right? I don't code as well. Okay, I'm a product person, but I'm not a great product manager. Also, I'm an average product manager. So I think my biggest strength, I would say, is something which my friend Arvind, who used to work for me, told me that my strength is how do I build relationships and find the right person for the job, right? And I think I will quote a Tamil poet Thiruvalluvar on this, right? So there is a simple poem which you may not understand. It says, "Idanai idanal ivan mudippan endraindu adanai avan kan vidal." What it means is find the right person for the job and then leave them alone to complete it, right? So I think that's been a big aspect of how I work. Like I know that I don't know everything and I don't want to be in everything. So, but if I want to build world-class stuff, I need to find the right people and like create the environment for them to succeed and then stay out of the way, right? So I think that's been really what weaknesses are, like hundreds of weaknesses. I'm a very poor manager. I don't like managing people at all. And even to the extent of doing one-on-ones with them or for me, my philosophy is, okay, if you have a problem, ping, don't expect me to poll. So ping, don't poll. So
But I'm just saying that everyone who's watching and people who work with you or engage with you is, and we followed very closely some of your colleagues, team members. I think one of the outstanding things, and I think one should write more and more and talk about it, is that you have actually built a very outstanding culture and team, and you've hired from very beginning, very, very good people, onboarded good people. I think that really speaks in the team that you have, right, at Freshworks. Yeah. Yeah.
so then will anybody hire bad people?
No, Girish, nobody
People
hires
are all
bad.
good.
No, but I'll
So
tell you, no, I'll tell you, people don't hire bad, and I don't think so. People are bad, but I think the security as an entrepreneur, right? The security in the DNA of an entrepreneur to say that, hey, I can have hire people who are smarter, who can question me. I think you have that ability. Not many people have that. So yeah, yeah.
but more importantly, the like if you treat people the right way, they will give you
Yeah,
their best. So our fundamental belief again is there are no bad employees, there are only bad fit for the role. So and even at household, like I will tell you, my when we had a maid, and my the first day the maid came, she was very not in India actually. So she was very like strict, and she said these are the terms, these are the norms, and my wife was like, why is she behaving like this? I said, don't worry, you treat her well. And then see, when we were moving from that apartment, like that maid was crying, right? Because the way Shobha had taken care of her, like so all that, see, people are initially like that because when they don't know who they're dealing with,
yeah,
you can unlock. So there has to be fundamental belief that people are not bad. You can see, you first make the change, you show people that you care, you show how you feel about them, you make them feel special and respected. I think you will receive all of that back. That is the formula for all entrepreneurs.
yeah, yeah. And I hope all entrepreneurs adopt that, embrace that, then we will have far more amazing, yeah, ecosystem. Okay, Girish, I've asked you a lot of questions and there are a lot of questions coming. Maybe we'll send it to you and maybe, in your, when you have time, you could answer. But last, before we leave, if you had to say that, next 1 year, next 2 years, how should we all as entrepreneurs, as people, as individuals, look at life, look at our professional life, look at, dealing with, because a lot of people are feeling a little jittery, right? A lot of people have been laid off and this is tough time.
There are two or three things I would like to say. Number one, don't worry about the uncontrollable. So that's the game has changed for everybody, right? So you can't control what you can't control. So if it's raining outside, can you control that? So you just take an umbrella and go, right? So I think you have to adjust to this. This is nature at play, right? So and what we can control is, like, for example, if you can't control revenue, you can control spending, right?
Yeah,
If you can't control churn, you can control maybe like hiring, right? So focus on what you can control and make a new plan, right? That is from a business standpoint. From a what we all should do as entrepreneurs, I would say, first believe that you can be successful in life, in business, without being a jerk, right? So
yeah,
so you can be good and be you can win. So I think a lot of times people talk about unconscious bias, right? So then movies talk about unconscious bias. There's also an unconscious bias that a businessman means he has to be a fraud, he is
yeah,
like basically we need more role model entrepreneurs, right? So I want, don't take the hack deep inside. You will hear it, whether are you doing something that's right for the business. Focus on doing what is right for the business and what is right for the company and what is right, so first, right for the employees, right? So if you focus on that, and don't never let funding or IPO or any of those change how you operate the business. See, fundamentally good businesses will always get funding, and that is what I think we all need to understand as entrepreneurs is, And if you don't build a great business, you don't deserve to be successful. Accept that. I will accept that. So if I'm not the right person to lead Freshworks moving forward, I will step down. It's fine. It's not my company. I understand that the moment we take VC funding, I have been given the driver's seat, right? So the company is owned by everybody. Employees own it, investors own it. I also own part of it. But I have this cap on, which says, this is the Freshworks CEO, right? The moment I'm not the right person to drive it, I have to give, or if I'm tired and if I'm going to fall asleep, then I have to give it to somebody else. So, but it is important to drive the right way, right? So I think that is my biggest ask to everybody. Believe that uh, you can be successful even when you are actually doing the right things. Don't take the shortcuts or the hacks to optimize for funding or optimize to enrich ourselves at the expense of investors or at the expense of employees. So I think those are all things which will come back and bite you later. So I think my humble ask would be to do the right thing, build great businesses, and that is how India will win. So we want India to win as a product nation, right? And for that, we need role model entrepreneurs. And role model entrepreneurs build great business. Funding will come, all the success will come, all the money will come. But if only it will all come only if we build a great business.
Wow. Wow. I have one thing to say, that for all of us here in India, and who all would have logged today at, now it's going to be 10 o'clock over here, uh, I can say that, for us, you are a role model of what you said. Good guys make good businesses and great businesses. And we look up to you because fundamentally we think you are a very good guy. And you give us that, we don't have to be, if I may say so, in Hindi, there is a word kamina or an asshole to win, because more examples are like shortcuts people do, but you've done it the right way and you built it, and we all look up to you, Girish. We want you to keep on winning because it's a great success story for India, and we are very proud of you. Thank you. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank you, Shradha. Thanks
Thank you
for.
so much. I'd like to have a special mention here of our sponsors, Motilal Oswal, who are our presenting partners for the personal finance category in association with 5paisa.com and ICICI Lombard. Their coming on board has helped us bring financial ingenuity from some of the finest minds in the industry to help our audience leverage it for their own financial empowerment.